are now behind enemy lines, or at least I am right now. I'm waiting to see if my boy Ross gets his stuff together here. I'm going to bring him in right now. There you are. Can you hear me okay this time?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, there's a little bit of a delay, but we'll see if that works out. My backup plan was to let everybody know that we got our website going again at buffoonoftheweek.com, but screw that now. How you doing, bro? Uh-oh. We got a delay. You may want to check on your stuff again, pal. I don't know what's going on there by you, but uh, it ain't working.
Do your
You're
thing.
blinking out. You're sitting forward. You're sitting back. Uh, I don't know what's going on with you, but got to check on that. Listen, guys, it's the first show of the year for us. We're working out the kinks again. I'm glad you're here with us. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different things as we get Ross together here. He's saying he's going to be right back. No problem. Go ahead, do what you got to do, pal. I will take you off the screen, and I will say, "Hey there, how you doing, America?" Gene Berardelli here with you. We are, like I said, working out the kinks. There's always some tech issue going on, things like that. It is what it is, but we got a great show lined up for you, hopefully. But I do want to start with that announcement again that we are now with a fully functioning website at buffoonoftheweek.com. We got articles going up pretty much on a daily basis now. And if you miss a video, you can always find it there, buffoonoftheweek.com. There'll be a little article written. The video will be embedded in the article. And you can check us out there pretty much anytime. It's something I worked on really hard. And I see Ross is working stuff out in the background, pal. Just shoot me a message in the chat or the private chat, whichever one you want to do, to let us know what's going on with you. We'll get started in a little bit. I hope everybody had a very happy holiday season and a happy new year. We haven't been doing live shows since Buffoon of the Year, which was right before Christmas. And it was a nice little break. Like I said, we got the website stuff done. News has been developing, and we're getting back into the swing of things right now. And there's a lot going on. I'm going to bring Galloway back in. All right, pal, you good? Nope, not yet. Okay, he ain't good yet. But we can get into some of the stories right now. Um, I'll bring Ross back in when we can get him. But we got a lot to talk about. It is the beginning of the new year, and we're half a month into this new year, and everything's getting crazy already. Uh, we've been seeing what's been going on in LA with the wildfires. We've also been seeing the beginning of the Senate nominating process for all of President elect Donald Trump's cabinet positions. We're going to hit on some of those hearings. We did so earlier today. This morning, we put out a video on This Week in Dumb Democracy concerning the hearing and the nomination process for Pete Hegseth and the challenges he was going through, especially dealing with really, really crappy, shady buffoons like Tim Kaine. You can check out that video at your leisure. Needless to say, Tim Kaine is a douche. He is an absolute. Listen, I'm trying. We're in the first 5 minutes of the show. I'm not going to start cursing, but Tim Kaine, not a great person. Really got personal with Pete Hegseth, but also started getting into a lot of hypothetical analysis, trying to say, well, if you think this, then will you do this? And it was just really, really off the mark. A lot of out of bounds stuff. Check it out. It's on the channel right now. But for tonight's video, we can get into Pam Bondi's nomination. She's nominated for Attorney General. And Pam Bondi, I'm going to try to wait for Galloway for this. She's a rock star. She handled her hearing so well. And we're going to focus on two Democrats that were questioning her during this committee hearing. I think it was the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. And later on, we can also talk about and review the latest from those LA wildfires. I don't know what's wilder right now, what's going on in LA or what's going on in DC. We got bi-coastal Well, I was going to say something bad, but I'm not going to say it. Uh, it's not bipolar. It's bi-coastal buffoonery going on right now. Um, you know what? If we need to do it over later, fine, we'll do it over later. But let's get into Pam Bondi and what happened on Capitol Hill earlier today. She was subjected to questions about her qualifications and her character concerning whether or not she would be a proper attorney general according to people. Now, what does proper mean to anyone these days? I don't know. For Democrats, it means not. For Democrats, it means not not being dependent on Donald Trump, or not being Donald Trump's friend, or not being his personal attorney, and to stand up for the Constitution, whatever that means. Of course, they're referring back to things that happened in 2020. For Republicans, they're not concerned about that so much. They're concerned about her qualifications and whether she's going to carry out the Trump agenda from the DOJ. That means efforts on the southern border. It means a whole bunch of different policies that they want to implement, making the DOJ nonpartisan again. And we're going to give this one more shot now with my boy here. I think he restarted his computer. All right, we're giving this another shot with you, and then I'm going to kick you out.
Woo!
All right, there we go. All right, so let me get the website off this page here. All right, before we get to Pam Bondi, I was going to do a little bit of an intro. Maybe we could do it later. But pal, how you doing? Welcome back. You finally got your shit together. I'm glad to see it.
Bro, I'm sweating. I feel like you right now.
Why? Listen, this is what we do for fun, my man. It's all good. Tech stuff happens. Storms happen.
Listen,
all of
what
it.
happened is I don't use this laptop except for this. So if you don't use it for a couple of weeks, when you turn it on, it like wants to download a million updates. I had to like Control Alt Delete and stop everything. Mess.
What was the fan making noise in the background? Could you hear the fan?
No, I didn't hear nothing. It just wouldn't. Everything was just freezing up. But we're back. We're back.
Listen, we're back. We're better than ever. 2025 is here. We haven't talked on air since Buffoon of the Year. What's been going on? You had a great holiday season, family, friends, good food, all that good stuff, right?
Listen, man, I had a blast. I'm a little upset, and I've been counting this down. Everybody's counting down, the Trump inauguration until Trump is back. I'm already doing the countdown. We only have a little over 4 years left of Trump in office, unless he runs in 2028, which I'm still holding out hopes.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Every day, enjoy it.
Well, we're going to be talking about things that affect the Trump agenda going forward, and that's these Senate nomination confirmation hearings going on, all in different committees. But I got to give a shout out first. I didn't do this before. I got to give a shout out to my Uncle Bobby, who got me this sweet Alex Jones shirt for Christmas. I told him I'd wear it for one show this year, and here it is.
Ooh.
Pretty slick right there. Shout out to my Uncle Bobby for that.
I didn't know you were an AJ fan.
My uncle is a huge AJ fan. I could take him or leave him. He says a lot of things that are true. I don't necessarily like the presentation of it all a lot, but he ends up backing himself into being right a lot. So I'm not a hater, but I'm not a mega fan either. You know.
I mean, tell your uncle, man. I used to love Alex Jones too. He's gone too mainstream for me now. I need somebody crazier.
The man is averaging like 6 figures in live streams now on X, which is completely crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And I didn't get your opinion on this, but I showed you the new buffoonoftheweek.com. What'd you think, man? How did it turn out? What do you think?
No, it looks awesome. I love it. You are a man of many skills, Gene.
Yes, sure, whatever you say. All the Buffoon of the Year stuff is here. There is this one section. I don't know if it'll log in for me right now, but there's a button called Tomfoolery that's on the site where anyone who registers for the site, which by the way, it's free, you can create your own polls. We're going to be putting up, you can create personality quizzes, hot or not, create memes on your own if you want to embed an article yourself and you want to submit it. You can do it here as well. It's a pretty cool function. I already know you have ideas for create a meme.
I love it. This is amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool, fun stuff here on the site, and it all also links to our merch store. It links to our YouTube. I'm going to get Rumble up there as well soon. It links to buying the book. And hopefully it will link to some Galloway posts in the near future.
It
Not
definitely
pressure,
will. This is the first time I've ever seen the word tomfoolery fully spelled out. That's awesome.
You got to be kidding me. Anyway, guys, beforetheweek.com, I've plugged it too much already. Let's get into some stuff, my friend. First thing I want to get into, you touched on it a moment ago. We were talking about the importance of the Trump agenda. We only have so much time left with Trump, and certainly only so much time with a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and it's all about pushing that agenda. I know. Did you watch the Hegseth confirmation hearing at all yesterday?
I watched the whole thing.
What? Being a veteran, what'd you think of Pete Hegseth? I thought he's a flawed nominee, but he's kind of perfect in his imperfections. He owns up to things, and he certainly holds up to a lot of military values that we've talked a lot about in the past, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, flawed. He's a human being, right? Certainly. A combat infantryman. So yeah, there's even more flaws there, possibly from, PTSD and just a rough lifestyle altogether. But I don't think the Democrats learned a damn thing since November, right? The exact demographic that they lost the most support in were probably heterosexual males, right? And what did they do? They had a bunch of harpies screeching at this guy, a bunch of old ladies telling an infantry officer about women in the infantry and how they can, hold their own, right? I thought it was very revealing. And at the end of the day, what were their big gripes against the guy? That he's a Christian, he likes to drink, and he likes women. I'm pretty sure every dude in the military is going to respect that guy a whole lot.
Oh, he's definitely from the ranks. I mean, I'm not going to say a bad thing or a good thing about that, but he's certainly from the ranks. If people missed out on this hearing, there's a meme floating around that I think everyone has seen thus far. It's only about 10 seconds or so. I'm going to try to pull it up. I'm going to try to pull it up right now. Hang on a second here. Let me see if I can. Gotta work the windows again, Berardelli. Okay. It's an 11-second meme, but to me, it typifies exactly the summary of what you were just talking about. How there were middle-aged, older Democrat women on the committee, Kirsten Gillibrand, Tammy Duckworth, and others, Elizabeth Warren. And this, I think, typifies exactly what Hegseth dealt with.
Our veterans organizations that will help our veterans get every damn thing that they deserve because they signed on the dotted line.
5 hours of that, Galloway.
We've all been there. Gillibrand looks like crap. I just got to say, right? I don't know what happened to her. She could have combed her hair, maybe put a little coloring in that thing. She looks like a train wreck.
Well, I believe that she is now the chair of the DSCC, the campaign wing of the Democratic Senate, the Senate Democrats.
All right, well,
so
we'll see.
she's she better get ready for prime time. But okay, so Hegseth is old news. I think he's going to be okay as long as Republicans stand by him. Today was a new day, and today, on the heels of what we saw with Pete Hegseth's nomination committee hearing, we got to see Pam Bondi in action, the nominee from President-elect Donald Trump for Attorney General. Probably the most important nominee. What's a more important nominee? Attorney General, Secretary of State?
In today's climate, I would argue definitely Attorney General, because Donald Trump, I don't even think needs a Secretary of State, basically. You know what I mean?
Well, if there's any indication about this ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas and Trump's envoy playing a pivotal role in that, I would tend to agree with you. But Pam Bondi, this is where I wonk out. I love talking about lawyers and lawyer on lawyer violence, especially in the realm of politics. Pam Bondi was a freaking rock star today, pal.
She was outstanding, and arguably one of the most qualified people that we've seen in our lifetimes be nominated to that position, right? So the Democrats really had nothing on her if you watched a lot of the clips.
Oh, the only thing they had
was she was great.
The only thing they had was old stuff, right? 2020.
Old stuff and Kash Patel. You know, I was hoping she would have said, "Excuse me, Senator, I was nominated for this position, not Kash Patel. You can ask him all the questions you want when he comes up here." You know what I mean?
I think she did one better on that in defending Kash Patel and basically saying that her interaction with him and describing them and how he was a public defender in his past as well as being a prosecutor and being in the FBI. We'll worry about Kash Patel when that comes along. That's going to be a hearing that is fire. But I want to focus on two parts of Bondi's nominating committee. First one being the way she handled Shifty, Adam Schiff, who he's a one-note politician, whether he's in the House or the Senate. He's the same thing over and over again. He clings to this theory of his about Donald Trump being the absolutely worst person in the world. And you know what? Let's start the clip right now, and we'll talk about it as we go. We're not going to play the whole thing. I can skip around and jump around, pal. But let me know when you want to stop something, and we can make a point.
Yeah, these aren't bad. They only got 7 minutes each, so that whole shifting is.
Yeah, but you know what? We have a tendency to turn 7 minutes into an hour. You know, by the way we talk. So we got to be a little judicious with the Judiciary Committee hearing clips we have here involving Pam Bondi and Adam Schiff. Here we go.
As you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution.
Here we go. We're stopping early. Bull, you know what? We're still early in the clip here. No, that's not what the Supreme Court held. The Supreme Court held that there is a presumption of immunity that can be overcome with evidence. The Supreme Court did not grant presidents unfettered, unchecked immunity on everything. The presumption of immunity. Schiff does this intentionally, pal, and it drives me up a damn wall.
Yeah, because even during oral arguments, all of them pretty much said the exact opposite, right? Like if the president pulled out a gun and shot someone in the Oval Office, obviously you are not immune from criminal prosecution. But if you're acting in accordance with your duties and then someone second guesses you later, you have to have a presumption of immunity if you are acting in good faith. I mean, otherwise you can't be the president. That's what Donald Trump's been arguing all along.
Absolutely. And think about the duties of the president. The president has the power to order the execution of people on foreign soil. Do you think that if there was no immunity for that action, that presidents would be able to conduct war, to conduct international relations? If a president makes a deal in the Middle East and people say, well, you know, the Trump organization is trying to make real estate deals in the Middle East, and therefore any deal he's making has to be considered self-dealing. Well, no. The presumption is the president is acting for the good of the country, not for his own pocketbook. This is where Democrats tell on themselves, pal, because I think that they would use this power in such a manner that they would do self-dealing and they would take reprisal on their political adversaries. Oh, what am I saying? They already did the latter part of that, right?
Of course they did. And they'll say, they'll always preach about how you have to trust the system and the rule of law. And the DOJ is an honorable group of people. But they weaponized the DOJ. Joe Biden, in his pardon statement for his own son, said the DOJ got politicized. His own DOJ, by the way. And they're issuing out preemptive pardons. More still to come in the next couple of days. I can't wait to see who they pardon. If you really had faith in the Department of Justice and the institutions of our government, then why the pardons? Right? What is Schiff worried about right now?
See what we're doing? We're 28 seconds into the clip and we've turned it into an hour and a half discussion. We got to learn how to do this stuff, man. We've only been doing it for 10 years or so.
Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
It's a great answer. This is basic lawyer 101 stuff. It's called having a good faith basis. If you're going to go to court and you're going to make allegations, whether it's in civil court, criminal court, whatever it may be, you need to have a good faith basis for what you would be claiming. Schiff knows what he's doing here. Shifty knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to create controversy. If Pam Bondi would have said, the president told me to look into this, I'm going to look into it. She's not an officer. She's not a part of the DOJ. And if there is a formal request to investigate something, she's duty-bound to at least look into it and then come to a legal conclusion about whether there's a good faith basis to proceed with a full-blown investigation. The transparency of what Schiff does is maddening. And Pam Bondi saw right through it.
Yes. And I know she can't say these things during this hearing, but here's my view on this, Gene. The DOJ, the Department of Justice, is not in the United States Constitution, right? It is a construct of Congress placed in the executive branch. The head of the executive branch, the chief law enforcement officer of the entire country, the only person specifically mentioned in the executive branch is the president of the United States. So if the president of the United States, who the attorney general works for in his cabinet, if he directs them to prioritize certain things, there is nothing wrong with that. I know that's an unpopular view right now, and a lot of lawyers might disagree with that, but there's absolutely nothing that forbids that at all in the Constitution. Right? Joe Biden prioritized DEI and social justice and had all of his executive departments prioritize that during his administration. If Donald Trump said, I want to root out political corruption in your institutions and review the cases over the last 4 years that targeted X, Y, and Z groups, there is absolutely nothing wrong with him directing his attorney general to do that.
And let's be clear. I know that you said that cabinet positions are not in the Constitution, but Article 2, Section 2 does establish that a cabinet can be created to advise the president on any subject. So that is in the Constitution. And if the president has a cabinet position where he wants to investigate exactly what you said, he can certainly do that. I have a real problem with Democrats going after any sort of close relationship that a president may have with any cabinet appointee or nominee that he chooses to go up before them. Isn't this supposed to be people that the president trusts that fill these positions? I mean, for God's sake, you want to talk about closeness? Didn't JFK nominate his brother to be Attorney General? I mean, Democrats, you want to talk about different time, different era, whatever, fine if that's what you want to do. But don't give me this crock of BS here about closeness. A president is going to choose who they trust in these cabinet positions. So the cheap line about will you be independent, will you do your constitutional duties, complete horseshit to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does the Constitution actually say about the Senate's role in these hearings?
Advise
and consent, not choose. They don't get to pick the attorney general. The president nominates, and these guys advise and consent. Somehow, they talk about trying to be nonpartisan, or they want the attorney general to be nonpartisan, right? But they're going to likely vote on a lot of President Trump's nominees in a partisan fashion. That we have to like count all 53 Republicans plus J.D. Vance to hope we can get these guys through. The Republicans never do that when it's the other way around. The Democrats are about to set the worst precedent of all the precedents they've set. Because in the future, when a Democrat wins the White House, God forbid, but it will happen again, and the Republicans control the Senate, I hope there's a bunch of Ross Galloways in that Senate that remember this and do party line votes and stymie the incoming president's administration, right? There's no reason why President Trump's picks shouldn't sail through right now. We have the majority, right? And the Democrats are going to vote party line on a few of them, and that's disgraceful.
Well, it's because you have some people like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski out there that want to drag the party back to the era of, the Bushes and the Cheneys, and they long for that era for some reason. Whatever. Let's get back to this interaction.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith. Is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case.
And sitting here, sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
please, I only have
have
7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question.
Brought to me.
You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware? Just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is
Are you aware of
horrible. Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question.
I can't stand this shit in these committee hearings where the people on the dais who control the time try to characterize and couch a person's testimony into saying exactly what they're not saying. Adam Schiff he represents everything that's bad when it comes to power in office. He abuses the privilege he has of sitting on that dais and discussing these issues with nominees or whoever is brought as a witness before them. And the witness never gets a word in edgewise about what they want to say. They want answers to be to their liking, and the same thing with the delivery of it. I can't freaking stand that.
Yeah, and Gene, there's no coincidences, man. This guy is in the inner circle in D.C. He's not asking this line of questioning in a vacuum. He's asking these questions and putting it out there now in hopes that the American public will swallow the pardons that are coming. I guarantee you Jack Smith is on a short list of a preemptive pardon for selective prosecution or whatever else he might have done, or collude with local authorities like Fannie Willis and the knuckleheads over in New York, right? There's a bunch of stuff that could be looked at here. They're setting the stage for preemptive pardons. Mark my words.
Well, and this is what I want to say about that. If they are setting the stage for preemptive pardons, that means that these people, when subpoenaed to come before Congress, will have to come in, and we've talked about this on previous shows, will have to come in, and they have no more Fifth Amendment protection against prosecution. They have to tell the truth about what happened. If they obstruct, if they lie, those are new charges that are not covered by that pardon. So they have to cooperate, and they have to spill the beans on everything that happened. Hunter Biden, we're talking to you right now about that. I'm going to keep on going, but there's another clip with Alex Padilla we got to get to as well, pal. So I'm going to let this run just a little bit.
Let me ask you a different, simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The president has
hypothetical.
called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the
my
national
question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is this.
focused on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have
Why are we still on this? Why is this still a thing? We've gone through an entire election cycle. Adam Schiff is a one-trick pony here. And the reason why he's got to go into this is because, as you just saw, Pam Bondi is freaking bulletproof. Calm, cool, collected, able to work under fire, didn't give a crap about Adam Schiff and what he was saying, trying to get her point out, which may to some on the left seem combative, but to me seems absolutely incredible to see that she's not putting up with his bullshit.
Who else did he just mention by name, Gene? Liz Cheney.
Liz Cheney.
Another candidate for a preemptive pardon. I'd like to, we started off and I said they've learned nothing from their defeat in November. While I do believe that that's true, especially for the majority of that party and the people that associate with the Democratic Party, I can't believe that these people are this stupid, right? I just can't. So why is he harping on 2020 still? Because I do believe this, Gene. They are afraid, very afraid, that if anyone looks into some of the irregularities that without a doubt happened in the 2020 election, Joe Biden supposedly got 81 million votes. Come on, dude. Like, if anybody peels back the curtain there, a lot of people are going to wind up in jail, right? So none of this is a coincidence. None of this is an accident. I love to say, they're just stupid. They're going back to January 6th, and nobody really cares about that because they don't. They're worried about something, right? He's tipping his hand here, I think.
They're worried about something, but I think it also is they have nothing else to grasp onto, at least with Pam Bondi here. 20 years experience. I mean, you wouldn't know from looking at her, but I think she's in her 60s. And I was shocked when I heard that. But more than that, her years of running the Florida Department of Justice, the equivalent there, being the Attorney General in Florida. To me, Pam Bondi, her record is, her qualifications are there, her education is there. The only thing they have on her is her association with Donald Trump. They can't come after her on her knowledge of the law, her ability to run an office with hundreds of attorneys, her ability to handle big-time litigation. They just can't do it. This is what they got, and this is not going to play well because the American people voted on this argument already, and they chose Donald Trump. We're going to keep on moving here and see if we can get to that other clip in a little bit because we're almost at halftime here on the show, and I got to do the grift.
the independence to say that? You have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election. Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple question.
I just want to go back a second. Look at how relaxed she is in responding to this.
Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election?
Watch how relaxed
can
she
you
is
say that?
here.
Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any ongoing
to power.
investigation,
So let me ask you another.
like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question.
Just so nonplussed. I loved how she's just like, you annoy me. You annoy me with this. This is not what I'm here for. I'm dismissing you out of hand. And Schiff does not like being dismissed by anyone, let alone, I guess, a Republican woman. Maybe there's something there with that as well.
Well, along those lines, first of all, where is Mark Cuban? But let's put him aside for a second. Don't you find it odd that little Shifty Schiff here is bashing a woman, questioning her integrity, her gravitas, her stature, her intestinal fortitude, right? If that was a Republican doing this to a female an historic pick for a female attorney general, I think the coverage would be a lot different here.
What word did he leave out that he really wanted to say there, though, Galloway?
The balls.
That's right. And actually, if you go, we're gonna end it here on this clip. I just want to go back for a second. There's a part of a question where Schiff is going along the same line, and he almost said that word. Let me see if I can find it in the beginning here.
Say no to the president.
I think it's a little bit further back
for justice, and for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no.
You heard that, right?
Yeah, he wanted to say it.
He wanted to say it right there, man. Now, the clip goes on. If you want to go watch it, it's right now on Forbes Breaking News' YouTube channel. Check it out there. But gotta say, just to put a bow around Shifty here, he was totally outmaneuvered by Pam Bondi there. She stuck to her guns. It was a really good display of how to deal with a buffoon in power that is only there for political gotcha moments.
Yeah, and the last thing I have really on that one, Gene, is they're clearly worried about something, because out of all the nominees, like, I don't know if you caught any of Marco Rubio, he sailed right through, no problem. Pam Bondi should have been in the same tier, right? It should have been. This is a no-brainer. This one, there's no controversy. She didn't cheat on her husband and have kids out of wedlock and get caught drinking and whatever else they try to pin on nominees. Like, she's clean as the driven snow there. So this should have been a no-brainer. They're clearly worried about something with this one.
They're worried because she's competent in her job. Remember, I think someone said something along those lines that when they were picking Adam Gates to be the nominee for Attorney General, and then he was replaced with Pam Bondi, there was a commentator, I think it was on MSDNC, that said, well, this isn't good for Democrats now, because now they got someone competent who was going to be the Attorney General, and how they overplayed that hand as well. Craziness, man. Absolute craziness. Well, listen, got to do the grift, because we are we're a little past halftime here. Maybe we'll go a little long because we had a little bit of technical difficulties earlier. But I want to say to you guys, thanks for tuning into the show. I'm Gene. He's Ross. We are behind enemy lines. We do a little show every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time on the YouTubes, on the Rumbles, on X. And while we got you on here, please subscribe wherever you are. Like, comment, share the show with your friends. All that really good stuff. And if you're really motivated and you really like what we're doing, check out our merch at shop.buffoonoftheweek.com. We got a lot of Behind Enemy Lines merchandise that I'm actually going to be picking up in a couple of weeks. Really excited about that. Getting some samples sent over to me to show it off to everybody. Really good stuff. High quality shirts, high quality merchandise. You also pick up my book there in ebook form, shop.buffoonoftheweek.com. And of course, you can also go to buffoonoftheweek.com. We just revised it and redid it just for you guys. So, pal, do you want to stick with Pam Bondi, or you want to move on to what's going on the other coast? I said that the news this week has been bipolar, but it's been actually bi-coastal when talking about what's going on in LA and in DC at the same time this week. Where you want to stick in DC, or you want to go to LA?
No, I think we got to talk to LA because it's linked for sure.
All right. So I touched on This Week in Dumbocracy, the daily show that we do here on the channel, concerning the LA wildfires, and the blame game going on there is so complex, pal. You have the obviously blaming of Karen Bass for the budgetary issues going on in the city of Los Angeles, and of course being in Ghana partying it up like a rock star while the city was burning down. And you have the break in the ranks between her and the LA fire chief, Kristen Crowley, who may have been fired or wasn't really fired or anything like that, but she was going on national television talking about the effect that a close to $16 million budget cut affected the LA Fire Department's readiness for dealing with wildfires in general, not just this specific year. I haven't gotten your thoughts on this because we haven't really talked about it. Why don't you tell me about what you're thinking about the wildfires and what's going on with this bureaucratic interplay, where I haven't even mentioned Gavin Newsom yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been astonishing how those fires have really like crystallized what the right has been saying over the last, especially the last campaign cycle, but even more so over the last 4 to 6 years, about DEI and misplaced priorities and incompetence and people getting promoted into positions that they truly don't deserve, right? California has put that on complete display. No one can argue that there is a Republican anywhere in the kill chain having to do with anything with those fires in Los Angeles, right? From the city council through the mayor, through the county organization, the fire chiefs, to the state assembly, to the governor. That state is a one-party state, right? And no one can say that this is being handled properly. No one, not even the left. That's why they're eating their own.
I absolutely agree with you. We're going to buffoonoftheweek.com to see a story written by yours truly on the staff here. LA Fire Chief to Mayor, you failed this city. You can also see the video from Monday on there, but I want to go to this link. This is the memo that the fire chief issued in mid-December to the Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass as it loads up right now. There it is right there. We're going to go to page 2 of the memo, and you'll see that this was delivered to the mayor December 17th, 2024. Subject, Los Angeles Fire Department service impacts on operations. We're going to go right to the summary. The LAFD is facing unprecedented operational challenges due to the elimination of critical civilian positions and a $7 million reduction in V hours, the variable staffing hours, overtime basically. These budgetary reductions have adversely affected the department's ability to maintain core operations such as technology and communication infrastructure, payroll processing, training, fire prevention, and community education. But the next paragraph has the real smoking gun, in my opinion. In addition to these impacts, the reduction in V hours has severely limited the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires and large public events, earthquakes, hazardous material incidents, etc. Specialized programs and resources such as air operations, tactical EMS, disaster response, and CERT, which I used to be a member of in the People's Republic of New York City, which rely heavily on these variable overtime hours, are not at risk at reduced effectiveness. And then it goes on for a report that explains how this is a cascading impact, pal, underscoring the critical need for restoring resources. One of the things that was not restored, and I'm going to get to this clip right now. I know I'm reading through here quickly, but because I want to give you a lot of information. The chief specifically referenced where the budget shortfalls were really affecting the situational awareness and the operations of the fire department. Listen to this. This was on CNN last week, I believe it was, last Friday.
Very, very clear. Yes, we took a $17 million budget cut. And as we know, any budget cut would negatively impact our ability to carry out our mission. I want to also clarify that I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. It's my job as the fire chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department to make sure that our firefighters have exactly what they need to do their jobs. And that's why I'm talking to you today. The Palisades fire, everybody's seen it. It is absolutely one of the most horrific natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles. And even with an additional 100 engines, I tell you, we were not going to catch that fire. But with that being said, let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service. And having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact. I want to
all that equipment that is in disrepair because they can't pay people to repair it. It may not have stopped the spread of the wildfires, but it certainly would have helped a little bit in saving certain neighborhoods, I would think.
Yeah, and I mean, her memo was one of those CYMA type memos, right? Cover your own ass. She got that on the record. But there's so much here, Gene. First of all, she's the chief of the county fire department, right? They have a budget. Undoubtedly, they took a cut, right? That's clear. However, if you're a boss and you manage your budget, unless it's statutorily specified how you're supposed to spend your dollars, you can reallocate funds, right? They still had a very robust DEI program and a bunch of other nonsensical stuff that they were spending money on where they could have fixed those fire trucks, okay? They were marching in gay pride parades. That costs money. You're paying salaries. You're using gas. You're cleaning trucks. You're decorating them. They did a lot of dumb stuff with money, okay? She also referred to it as a natural disaster. That's yet to be seen. We don't know if that was arson, terrorism. We have no idea what that was, right? This wasn't an earthquake where you can't predict it. California has a fire season. This was the fire season. The mayor left town. She promised she would never go out of the country. She's been out of the country dozens of times. She's 17 hours away in Ghana. What the hell is she doing there, right? This is incompetence from top to bottom. There's no hiding this. And by the way, Gene, just to tie this into the last segment, I thought it was brilliant that I don't know if you've seen the clip of the one of her assistant chiefs, a big butch lesbian, talking about, well, they asked me if I can't carry a man out of a fire, what would I say? And I would say, well, he shouldn't have got himself in that situation to begin with. Okay, that's what fat female lesbian butch firefighters say, right? That's DEI in action. That's what we want our military to look like. That's what Pete Hegseth is talking about. They're lowering standards. It's ridiculous. These are the people in charge of the fire department.
You got to love the victim blaming. But I want to go back to one thing that you said in your great rant there. And that is, LA has a fire season. I mean, they've had a fire season for decades. Yet they keep slashing the budget and allocating money for nonsensical programs that you talked about. And more importantly, let's go up to the state level now. No one is cleaning out these forests the way that they are supposed to be managed. The forestry mismanagement here, and I know it sounds stupid to say you got to clean the forest. It's all dirt anyway. Yeah, but getting rid of deadfall is a function that countries do, other places do, and California doesn't do it because they're worried about rare shrubbery and they're worried about little fish that they don't even know if they still exist or not. And they take rainwater that runs off from the mountains of Canada down through the states to get to them and dump it in the ocean. Donald Trump spoke about this for years. I know most recently it was on Joe Rogan talking about it. But the mismanagement here, aside from the momentary budget allocations and all the stupid buffoonery in government, when you know that there's going to be a fire season every year and you don't prepare to deal with it,
yeah,
what is that other than absolute complete catastrophe, a cascade failure of management of resources in your city?
Complete incompetence on display. Donald Trump was talking about that stuff with Gavin Newsom back in 2018 and 2019 on video. He talked about getting water and cleaning up the forest, right? You have all this dead growth that is just fuel for wildfires. On top of that, Gene, the Department of Water and Power, the head of that department, another DEI candidate, who said her number one priority was DEI, right? That was her number one priority over the last few years. She earns $750,000 a year. The president of the United States gets paid $400,000 a year. This LA bureaucrat gets paid $750,000 a year, and her job is water and power. And what happened during the height of fire season? The nearest reservoir to the Palisades was empty. And it's been empty for years. They tried to say it was just empty for a repair. It comes out it's been empty for a couple of years now, waiting for the repairs.
Which is another layer of the blame game that's been going on here. The fire chief doesn't know how the water is delivered to the fire hydrants. She says that in an interview. The water and power people are not keeping track of what's going on with the reservoirs. They're in disrepair. The mayor is in Ghana. Gavin Newsom is saying, oh, all this water delivery stuff, that's a local issue that I can't deal with. And it turns into this finger-pointing game between everyone, while billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, what am I saying? Hundreds of billions of dollars of real estate are being destroyed. And, you know, the conspiracy theorist in me is wondering, well, if all this property was destroyed, and government has powers like eminent domain, and they want to build infrastructure and things like that, what is now to stop an ambitious government teaming up with ambitious businesses that they have an incestuous relationship with? And I don't know, building a light rail system that might go through some of these areas. Just an idea. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm not putting the tinfoil hat on. But I can conceivably imagine a situation where this could happen. I think it was the plot of Police Academy 5 or something like that.
The other astonishing thing, Gene, is that, like, you know, people online prior to the fires would make memes of, like, Democratic politicians with stuff burning in the background. Newsom literally made the meme. He's touring these fires with LA burning behind him. He's going to face another recall. By the way, he was recalled once, right? Remember when Larry Elder was trying to run against him and he got called the black face of white supremacy, and they kept Newsom in there. So, by the way, I just want to say this. I know this is going to be an unpopular take with a lot of people, especially Eugene. I don't really give a fuck about California. Fuck them. Like I said, there's not a Republican in that kill chain. They voted for this. They want this. Yeah, there's a lot of good people there, and they got screwed over. But all in all, I don't care about California. If Canada doesn't want to become a state, but they would rather take California and be part of theirs, I would give it up, right? You can't make peace with these people. They are incompetent, and I would dare say evil, right? And they're getting what they deserve, to be honest. I don't care about them. I don't think we should give them any money. I heard some Republicans floating the idea of attaching strings. That's a good start, but I wouldn't give them shit.
Wait. We're getting some late breaking video of Gavin Newsom. You know, let me go to this right now.
This is fine. I'm okay with.
There you have it. Right there, you go. We haven't even touched on Gavin Newsom. That is a whole other video, really. Is Gavin Newsom's political career dead now? Are his national aspirations burned up into cinders?
I'm glad you asked that question, because that was on my list of things to talk about. No, it's not. Because the Democrats are stupid, right? They are dumb. He survived a recall. Guess who's coming back? Andrew Cuomo will likely be the next mayor of New York City, if you believe the last poll, right? They don't learn. The two morons that were looked at for leadership in the first Trump administration, who have done nothing but incompetent things, illegal things that should have been disqualifying from holding office or any future office, are both going to be back on the scene on the next Trump administration. The Democrats.
I want to throw a little bit of a wrench into your theory. Normally, I would agree with you, and the Andrew Cuomo thing, not if I have anything to say about it, but we'll get to that on another time. But I want to throw a little monkey wrench into the works, because I think there might be a little bit of hope for California. Let me lay this out for you. You have a multi-billionaire who just left California, Elon Musk, who has been working with Donald Trump. But who else has been working with Donald Trump on the last 2024 election cycle? RFK Jr. And who was his running mate for vice president? A California attorney named Nicole Shanahan, who has a real grudge. You want to talk about vendetta? She has a vendetta against Democrats. So a motivated Nicole Shanahan, plus the financial backing and the infrastructure backing of not only Donald Trump, but of Elon Musk, can make a real run of it if they are motivated enough to get this recall signature effort done, if they join a part of that. I don't know if they're a part of it or not. but they could really have a possibility of taking down Newsom and maybe not putting in a Republican or a conservative, but a governor who would be friendly and willing to work with the federal government in Donald Trump and maybe actually make California great again. What do you think about that?
No, I get what you're saying, right? I
Put
get
it
it.
down immediately. God damn it.
It's just not possible, Gene. What was the legislature of the state of California doing when the fires first broke out?
Oh,
You know what they were doing?
they were trying to shore up any attacks from Trump coming at them.
They were trying to Trump-proof California while Los Angeles County was burning to the ground.
And as Michael Rappaport said, a former Trump hater, he probably still hates Trump. Why weren't you fireproofing California? You're Trump, but not fireproofing it.
Look at New York, right? They're both very similar. Kathy Hochul is a dullard, right? She's a leftist, but she's just not smart. But it wouldn't even matter, right? It doesn't matter who the governor is, because now in New York, you have supermajorities of Democrats in the legislature. So you could basically never get anything done. Your biggest cities are controlled by Democrats. So when the Democrats run the table, all right, let's get a moderate governor in there. Okay, they can make some changes around the edges, right? But you're not going to change a place like California. They are in the death spiral, just like New York is. There's no way out.
Well, I mean, there has to be something drastic, and maybe that's something drastic.
Like you could say Michigan, right? Michigan, I don't believe the Democrats have majorities in both of their houses in the legislature, or definitely not super majorities, right? So, yeah, you can knock out a Whitmer and get a more moderate Democrat or possibly even a Republican there, right? And maybe you could save the state, but you're not doing it in California, man. Let them burn politically.
I hear you. The thing of it all is, though, and maybe I'm smoking some hopium here, pal. I don't know. But I did see this map of California in voting. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, pull that up. I like that map. It's a great map.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about it because I'm going to push back on you.
But New York State's not much different.
It's a lost cause or not, because it might not be a lost cause here, right? If you look at what's going on here, and let me see if I can pull up. There it is. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull this up and let you take a look at it along with everybody else. This is a breakdown by county of the 2020 election cycle and the 2024 election cycle. There's a lot more red on that 2024 map than I thought there would be in a normal election cycle, pal. And Donald Trump did that. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Nicole Shanahan, the whole team that was put together there, Vivek Ramaswamy, all of them. This is what they accomplished.
So I'm
just a step further away to say that a motivated, concentrated campaign to oust Gavin Newsom in the wake of what's going on here might not have success.
I get what you're saying, Gene. I do. And the map, it's a pretty picture and it looks good on the internet. But to be honest, the people live in those blue areas. They don't live in those red areas.
Absolutely.
And the reason why those red areas got redder, which this is true of New Jersey, by the way, and Pennsylvania in the Northeast, it's because the Republicans in those blue areas along the coast, and it's the same thing on the East Coast, either they leave the state or they move to the suburbs within their state. So those red areas, like New York State, picked up a bunch of congressional seats 2 cycles ago out in the boondocks upstate and on Long Island, right?
Hey,
because people were leaving the city. You left there, right? You're my prime example. It's not a bunch of Democrats fleeing to the hinterlands. It's the Republicans leaving. So, yeah, that map looks better, but the overall vote, Kamala was a terrible candidate, right? So, yeah, and Biden's 81 million votes was fake. So the margin of victory might look like we picked up some ground since the Biden campaign of 2020. That was a fake election, and it was like mail-in votes, right? So I'm not buying it. California.
You know what? I'm an internal optimist. You're not going to shake. If you get Scott Presler into California, if you get Elon Musk's money and people into California, and you have a motivated candidate like Nicole Shanahan, I think you can pull it off. But I'll leave it.
Let me just ask you this, Gene. Where is Scott Presler focusing on right now?
Pennsylvania and New Jersey, I believe.
Yes, because of what I just said. All the Republicans in New York City have left. They might still be working and drawing New York City salaries, but they now live in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Those places are ripe to flip. Pennsylvania is definitely going to be a swing state for the foreseeable future. That's why Fetterman is acting as normal as Fetterman can possibly act, right? And New Jersey is getting redder.
That's a freaking smokescreen, in my opinion. The whole Fetterman being based now or whatever. Sure, he's talking a good game, but watch his voting record. Let's see how he votes in the Senate. If he starts voting the way his rhetoric is sort of lining up, cool. I'm with it.
What about the first litmus test is these nominations? He might be the only Democrat to vote for some of the nominations.
No, you see, okay, so why wouldn't Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan vote for Trump's nominees? She won and he won at the same time. That's a split state.
She should, but she bashed Hegseth. I don't think she's going to vote for him.
Why wouldn't Ruben Gallego do the same thing? He's in a similar situation. So you know what? We'll see on that. I think maybe the Lakin Riley bill is the litmus test to see where these middle of the road Dems stand, and maybe that's something we'll have to talk about in the coming weeks, pal. But it's a brand new world out there. 2025, as I'm saying, the year of MAGA. And as we enter this brave new world, we're going to sort of exit the stage right now because, my friend, it's time for final thoughts. And for those of you who don't watch the show, this is the segment where Ross and I basically talk about whatever the hell we want. We didn't tell each other what we were going to say. And we sort of roll with it for as much time as we choose to consume. So, Mr. Galloway, it's our first show back. You have the floor, my friend.
All right. So here's my advice to everyone. Biden gave his farewell address this evening at 8 o'clock, right before we went on. I watched it. Painful, nonsensical, incoherent as usual. I think his speechwriter already quit, and I don't know who slapped that thing together. But it's kind of rare for an unpopular one-term president to give a farewell address on what he thinks his vision of the future should be. Clearly, he was rejected, resoundingly rejected. Him and his vice president were rejected, right? So here's my advice. Savor every moment of these next 4 years, right? Regardless of what you think of the man, Donald Trump, there will never be another one like him, right? The Republican Party, I've been saying this for a while now, is doomed after this man unless something radical happens in the next 4 years. I really hope it's J.D. Vance. I hope DeSantis can come back in, but neither one of them are Trump either, right? It's going to take a lot to keep this Republican Party afloat. Donald Trump has been the only person that has been able to do it so far and get Democrats to join over. And now Democrats like the ones you mentioned earlier, Gene, they don't seem to be so afraid or embarrassed to admit that they're switching over. That's never been done. So enjoy these next 4 years, folks.
And for all we know, that's going to last for the next 4 weeks at the most. I want to talk about Joe Biden as well and him stepping off the stage at the moment. But stepping off the stage with him is Jill Biden. And I encourage Jill Biden to get everything down on paper. I want that tell-all book about what happened behind the scenes with the palace coup that happened in 2024. I want to know how she feels about Nancy Pelosi, her friend of 50 years, basically driving that dagger into the back of the Biden presidency. I want to know how she really feels about Kamala Harris and how she really feels about Donald Trump. We've seen the cold shoulders in public at the Kennedy Center, at President Carter's funeral towards Kamala Harris. Dr. Jill, spill the tea. Let it flow. Get it all out. It'll be cathartic. It'll be helpful to you in the long run. Tell everyone what they did to your husband, how they treated him, how they exploited him. I want to know it all. The American people deserve to know it all. Tell us about the real Democrat Party out there and your experience with it and how the poison turned inward towards you and your family. And that's my final thought on the situation.
Gene, that was brilliant. Clip that. That was brilliant.
I'll do my best to clip it, but we have so much. I'm on information overload. It's the Ross Galloway theory of political news right now. The tennis ball machine is throwing so many over the net that I can't hit them all back at the same time. We didn't get to Alex Padilla's testimony, questioning of Pam Bondi. We didn't get to a whole bunch of other clips. We didn't barely talk about Pete Hegseth. We didn't talk about Marco Rubio. There's going to be a lot of hearings coming our way. Maybe we're going to have to do a segment on hearings and some highlights of it. But if this is any indication between the formation of the Trump administration, what's going on in the People's Republic of New York with the mayor's race forming up right now and people lining up, what's going on in California with this possible recall, we're going to see what's going on in Virginia as well. It's also an off-year election for them. We thought we were going to have an off year. This is not an off year.
It's going to be a wild ride. I love it.
It's going to be absolutely wild. Well, because it's going to be wild, let's take this one home. I think it's time to shut this sucker down. What do you think there, Mr. Galloway, sir?
Woo! For the first time in 2025, Gene, shut this mofo down.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Behind Enemy Lines. I'm Gene. He's Ross. We're back here next week, hopefully 9 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday night. Until then, let's just play out with our motherfucking anthem. Good night, folks. Have a great week and weekend.
Not without electoral.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Teeth, don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows, flag on my chest, repping my clan, putting faith to the test. Cause love they lose behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw, cool in the chaos, but loud in the war. But loud in the war. Thunder, arm in advance, march to the anthem, this is our chance. If I ever stand with a smirk and a gaze, holding down the fort in this Democrat cage. Whistles in the dark, strategies unfold, allies unseen, but bonds remain bold. Commitment to the cause in the heart of the storms, in the name of freedom we're breaking the norm. Cause let's stay blue behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw. Cool in the chaos, but loud in this war. But loud in this war. Let's stay blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw. Cool in the chaos, but loud in